Glad to be here.
Yeah, could you just as by way of introduction, you could tell us just a little bit about yourself and your interest in this committee?
Yeah, I'm sort of new to Grafton. My wife's been here forever, and when we got married, I moved in with her when we got married. So I've been 4 or 5 years in Grafton. I have a degree in software engineering, so I like IT. I build computers. My military job is a signal support um, systems specialist. So I do IT stuff for the Army.
Okay,
Nice.
well, again, welcome to the committee. Um, I seeing as how we are all on a Zoom meeting, I'm supposed to take a roll call of the members, so I will proceed with that. Amar Clark,
Here.
Lucas Remillard,
Here.
Dave Robbins is here. Bob Hassinger is not here. And Bob Carroll, and as I said, Bob Carroll informed me that he would not be able to attend the meeting tonight. And also here with us is William Blake, our assistant town administrator.
Good
So
evening.
let me just so Lucas, so you can get to know us slightly better. Won't take a lot of time with introductions, but you might guess my name is David Robbins, since that's what it says there on the screen.
Yeah.
I'm the chairman of the committee currently, and been on this committee for, it's getting close to 20 years. I think it was 2007 I
Oh,
was
wow.
appointed to this committee, but I'm retired now, but my background is in computer and telecommunications research and development. Uh, Amar?
Yeah, I've been living in Grafton since 2009. I've had, various roles within the tech sector, mostly at Dell Technologies. Just here to kind of give whatever input I can. Had also had a lot of different jobs in various aspects of IT prior to moving to Dell. So I have a little bit of systems engineering, development, a lot of networking, and IT supports under my belt. So thought I'd be
Okay.
a good fit for the team here.
Yep, and also the role for you, Lucas, the role of this committee is basically advisory to the town administrator and the town administrator's office, of which Will is a part. And we've done a variety of things over the years, advise the TA in various different ways. Currently, we're beginning to focus on updating the town's IT related policies. So that's
Okay.
the main topic of discussion this evening, I think. Amar, I recall you said you probably had a hard stop a little bit before 8.
I do. Yeah, I'm gonna have to leave around 7:45.
Okay.
Okay, so
But
we'll make a point of wrapping the meeting up before you leave, because once you leave, we
thank
don't
you.
have a quorum anymore
Yeah.
to take
Right.
votes.
Okay.
And I just looked through my emails. So I still have to do the ethics training and the summary of the conflict.
Yeah, all that good paperwork that goes along with an appointment.
Yes, I think I have to do that before I'm sworn in, if I'm correct. Right, William?
So if you serve on other committees, I think you would already have that done.
Maybe, I mean, if they cross committees, then that's fine, but I didn't know if I
Yeah.
had to.
Yeah,
No,
I don't believe you have to retake the training for every committee that you're on.
no, the ethics training and conflict of interest acknowledgement and training, once you've done them,
Yeah,
they work for however many committees you're on.
You're
okay.
good for 2 years.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take a look, because this is from Amy Berry.
Mhm.
Yes.
So I don't know if she knows I'm on another committee. So I haven't had a chance to look at it because I'm in Georgia right now. So
Yep. So,
Army training.
yeah, I don't know if it's true with you, but people I've known in the service, sometimes the service sends them all over the place, and you just
Yeah.
never know.
Uh, my time in the military, I've pretty much been to every state except Hawaii and Alaska.
Ah,
Wow.
Wow.
And I have one tour in Iraq.
uh-huh. Yeah, you've been a lot of places I've never been.
And I remember you, Omar. I think our kids did Boy Scouts.
Yeah, Pack 106. My son moved to 107
Yeah.
about a year ago.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get this meeting, rolling here. I think, because we're missing two other members of the committee, there's a fair amount of the discussion that I think they will want to participate in. But just to get things, I'm going to take some things in a little different order. Since we currently have three of us, and Amar has a hard stop, let's get one thing out of the way, and that's the minutes of the previous meeting, which, due to my procrastination, I didn't actually send out to anybody until a couple of hours ago.
Mhm.
If you would prefer, I don't know what you think. I mean, Lucas, you wouldn't have been at the previous meeting, but that doesn't mean you can't vote on it anyway. But Amar, would you prefer to put the minutes off until the next meeting? So,
I think so, just because, half the people that were there last time are not here today. So I did review them myself quickly before the meeting, but I
yeah,
know that, probably be more fair if we
yeah,
wait
yeah,
till next time.
agreed. So I will punt those to the next meeting. Okay. And will do the, oh, where is my brain? Kind of got off track here from our agenda with all the introductions and discussion. But so officially, the first item on our agenda is public input. This is where, if anybody from the public is attending the meeting and they have a matter they want to bring to the committee's attention that's not already on the agenda, now would be the time. We do not have any Zoom attendees, so, and if one of us has a matter that counts as public input rather than an agenda item, now would be the time to bring it up. We usually don't have anything of that nature. So without any public input, we'll move on. I always have on the agenda an update from the town administrator. I don't, Will, do you have anything that sometimes I remember to ask Evan if he has anything for us, but I did not do that this time. But do you know of anything, Will, that Evan wanted to pass on to the committee?
Nope. He and I did not discuss it, so there's nothing specific that he wanted discussed.
Usually when I ask him if there's anything, he says he's got nothing. So
Mhm.
yeah, plus at least up until a few days ago, his time was dominated by preparation for town meeting, and now
Yes,
it's
we are all
probably
grateful to have that behind us.
and now it's catching up on everything else that got punted. Okay. So as far as the IT policy discussion goes, Will, you had sent out some uh, documents to the committee, emailed them out 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think,
Mhm.
including a copy of the most recent dated 2021 the IT policy document. What else? I should have my notes in front of me, but I don't.
It had the IT policy document, our upcoming RFP for IT support services,
Yep.
the draft job description for an IT director, and some examples from Westboro of their long-term strategic plan that we were able to get our hands on.
Yeah, so topics that you wanted to dig into more as a committee were kind of in reverse order. I mean, well, we talked about the upcoming RFP, and I know Will, you had indicated that it's shared with us for our information, and any feedback we might have. You know, although I've had it in my hands for 2 or 3 weeks, I haven't actually read through it, so I have no feedback, unfortunately. My time has been unfortunately distracted with other things, and it didn't really have enough time to prepare for this. I don't know, Amar, did you have anything that you wanted to comment on with the RFP?
No, nothing that really stood out. I wanted when is this going to be posted? Is this May that gets posted May 23rd? Is that right? Just to Friday?
If that's what it says, that might just be an example timeline. We did not
Okay,
intend to post it on Friday.
okay.
We do need to get it out sooner rather than later, as the procurement timeline takes about 4 or 5 weeks.
Hmm,
Yeah. So,
okay.
so I will take that as a suggestion that we promptly review that and yeah, if you have any feedback for Will before our next meeting, let's see, let me look at my calendar here. Our meeting schedule has until recently been the first Wednesday of the month. Will, you've indicated that that's often a conflict for you.
Yes. But I could either attend the IT committee meetings every other month, if changing the date was not what the committee wanted to do.
Yeah. Yeah. So if we look at to accommodate Will, I think uh, the second Wednesday of the month is a suggestion. I don't recall off the top of my head whether I sent out an email to the committee asking them about whether the second Wednesday would be good.
I think
Any
you did.
thoughts?
Second Wednesday is fine for me. But I think we probably want to just get confirmation before we officially change it, right?
Yeah. So let's at least tentatively plan on for our June 11th meeting. That's the second Wednesday. Would that be sufficient time, Will, for you to get feedback from the committee on the RFP? Would you like
Yeah,
it sooner?
we could wait till the June 11th, but I would say that that is the latest we could wait. Wouldn't
Yeah.
be able to wait till the turn of the fiscal year.
Yeah.
Do,
Okay. So
would we want to, if we're able to review it in the meantime, would we want to just kind of mark it up and send it directly to you? Is that something that's,
Yeah,
okay to do?
that's also acceptable.
yes,
And
that would.
Lucas, I have a note to send you the email that I sent out a couple of weeks ago, just so you can have all the documentation that we're discussing.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So and I'll send a follow-up note right after this meeting to let everybody know that if any of us who have comments or questions on the RFP to send those directly to Will. As long as we do it that way, we don't share our comments with one another, then we're not violating the open meeting law.
Mhm.
Yep.
So that's good. And yeah, and the sooner Will you can get any comments from us as individuals, the better. But
Yeah, and then maybe that gives you a little bit of time to review those, and then we can chat about them at the next meeting on June 11th.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
all right, so that's that for now. Um, you'd send out for our information, a draft job description for an IT director. And I understand that's something you and Evan would like to do for us to have an IT director, but and maybe
Yeah,
we'll
so
have the budget for it.
we are rowing in that direction, I would say. It likely will not be at the turn of the fiscal year. It's probably something we would do either at the halfway point or at the start of the next fiscal year. But
Mhm.
when you review the RFP, you'll see there's language in there that we're treating the on-site support almost like an alternate in the bid documents, where there's an understanding that at a certain point that will come out of the scope of work.
Okay, so sounds like it would be appropriate for us to provide you feedback on that the same way we've just talked about for the RFP.
Yeah, I think we would be open to feedback.
Make, make myself a note so that I might actually remember to do things after the meeting. Okay, and so uh, sort of two major topics we've been talking about. One is policy documents, and the other is strategic planning.
Mhm.
So again, with with some of us not being in the meeting this evening, there's probably not a whole lot that we can productively discuss here. But one of the so on the existing town's IT policy, as we said, that was last revised in 2021, and I think at our last meeting, and maybe the last couple meetings, we've kind of said let's let's take a closer look at that document and provide some suggestions for, yeah, bringing it up to date, adding things to it, removing things. Uh,
Yep. And
again,
one question that did get asked at the last meeting was whether or not new staff are required to see these policies. And
yeah.
I think it was in the email, but I've confirmed that they do during the onboarding process when they go over all of the town's benefits and all of the other paperwork. That is a tab in there, and it includes things like the IT policy, the sexual harassment policy, and all that stuff. So if there are other end user policies we want to develop, we can also put those up there.
Yep, I think sort of, in our thinking, we've touched on at least a number of topics that may need to be addressed in IT policies that we don't currently cover. And there's a potentially quite a substantial number of topics that could be covered by IT policies. So one of the things that, I think the direction the direction we were heading was to take a look at the existing policy document, look at updating what that has, identifying future policy topics that need to be covered in either an expanded version of this policy document or separate policy documents. But the short-term focus was just on updating the existing policy. And I think we said at our last meeting that we would take a look at that and come back to this meeting with some suggestions. But I've not been able to do it. I've not found the time to do that, even though perhaps I should have. But let's take that as a little bit more emphasis is again for our next meeting, particularly because a couple of our members are missing. I will try to remember to sort of try to push that forward and make sure we all have taken the time to review that and come prepared to discuss in more detail. Than I'm not prepared to discuss that in any detail tonight. I don't know if either Lucas is a lot of stuff you haven't seen yet, so
Yeah.
you can be forgiven for not having a lot to say just yet. I don't know if you've had any thoughts that you'd like to talk about this evening, Amar?
No, not really. I think that we probably, I haven't had a chance to look at it in detail, but one of the things that we discussed last time was see if we should be getting some content in there around Gen AI use
Yeah.
cases and policies around using AI for, town business.
Yeah, in other words, maybe not use Chat GPT to write your reports, or at least very carefully, if you do use it, make sure that you're not doing something like, I don't know how many times I've read lately about lawyers who are using Chat GPT to write legal briefs, and Chat GPT has a reputation for inventing case citations out of thin air.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, it's appropriate use of tools like Chat GPT or other AI tools is something that it certainly deserves a mention in some fashion.
Yeah. I think we're probably going to have a spirited discussion around AI tools for sure, right? I think that there's definitely, there's a right and a wrong way to use it, and I think
Yeah.
that it's going to be important to look at what other municipalities are doing as well.
Yep. So we'll plan on digging into that more at our next meeting. And the last topic in that discussion was strategic planning. Again, is sort of it's still a little bit amorphous. We've been seeking out examples. Bob Carroll had shared with us. And again, I think this is something that you haven't seen yet, Lucas, is the school department has a 5-year what do they call it?
Roadmap?
5-year technology plan, I think.
Oh,
At least
yep.
that's what my notes say. So we can look at that. We can look at the examples we'll send out from Westboro, and maybe we can come up with an outline or something to something to sort of tell us or tell Will and Evan how to what and however exactly we end up working together on this. But yeah, it's something that we've kind of off and on discussed in this committee for a long time. Is we could do more to flesh out a something like a 5-year strategic plan for whatever. And I how much we want to cover in that, and some of these examples may help us to sort of scope that out, because there's a lot of topics you could think of covering in a strategic plan related to IT. If you try to do too much, then you end up not sure where you want to go. So that's about all I can think of to just say about that this evening. Do you have any thoughts, Amar, or even Lucas, if you have any thoughts from your experience that might potentially apply here?
So I know the Army, we have our own ChatGPT that we're allowed to use. So I don't know statewide if other ones have it, but like we have Project Darksaber, and then there's a couple other like Camo GPT, and it's all built on, it's supposed to be like secured AI type stuff like ChatGPT, which I tend to use pretty regularly for, if I'm writing up a, pretty decent email, like I use it to help like kind of organize everything that I'm writing so it's in like more of a clear, concise, like nice. But I've met people who don't review their stuff and just throw it in there, send it out, and you're like, that doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah, see that's the thing that the thing that I worry about is that if you rely too much on that, and well, the computer said it, it must be right. And the basic idea, well, the computer said it, so it must be right. And people have had that attitude towards computers about as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
And it's just, the details change, but
Yeah.
I think it's a good point that you mentioned, that you can use it as a tool. Like other tools, you have to know what it can do and what it doesn't do, and what you have to do when you're using it.
Yeah.
And a lot of times those, like even ChatGPT, the free version, like the data that's in it is like 2 to 3 years old. And in order to get
Right.
the update stuff, you have to pay for it. So some people don't even realize that. They put in the free one and they're like, oh, this is the stuff. And it's like, yeah, you're completely missing 3 years worth of data that the other one has.
Hmm.
So it's, yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, making a policy on it is probably a very good thing for the town.
Yep. Anything else on any of these topics? Otherwise, we will have succeeded keeping the meeting really fairly brief.
Yeah, well, I just had a question for William. I know that we had talked about maybe reaching out to the school system about potentially collaborating on IT resources, and I know that kind of discussion is potentially going to tie into all of the things that we talked about, right? The RFP and the technology plan and all those types of things, right?
Yeah, so I did not end up approaching the schools about that, but I did have a couple of conversations on the municipal side. And it seems like the last time we went in a shared services direction, the issue that arose was the services on the municipal side, because the school department has 500 employees, and then you're adding on 100 more, and that stretches people pretty thin. So with that in mind, and with the idea that we are moving in the direction of an in-house IT director, I decided it might not be best to have that conversation with the school department at this time.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, just I figured with the direction we're rowing in, hopefully this time next year we're in a spot where we have somebody on site who can be working on these things.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I think as I recall, and it sounds like really nothing much has changed. But my recollection is that at the time, the last time we really tried to get into that, it turned out that the schools demanded had a much higher workload for IT, just for the reasons you just said, Will, that they've got just a ton more users and IT infrastructure, and plus it's somewhat different. It's kind of they use IT in different ways than we do on the municipal side. So
Yeah, it's a completely different platform too, right?
Right.
Google versus Microsoft.
Yeah. So at a very high level, you could think, well, IT is IT. It's all this same sort of computers and laptops and tablets and everything, but it's when you drill down, you realize it's a whole lot more than that. And the hope was sort of the naive hope was that, well, there's enough commonality that a group of people ought to be able to cover both. And then turns out it's not as much in a practical sense. It's not as much commonalities as you thought at a sort of abstract level.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So as time goes on, we may find opportunities, but yeah, I wouldn't at this point. I wouldn't argue against the position you're currently taking, Will.
Solid. Okay.
All right. So, is there anything else? I think we've got some marching orders, and I will try to do better at pushing things forward. With the number of different things that I'm involved in, sometimes once I get done with one meeting with one group, I am off to something different. Then I kind of forget that, oh, we have another meeting to plan for. So I think with probably because the master plan activity, which has occupied a lot of my time, we are reaching an end of that process. So that frees up some of my bandwidth. So, okay. Unless we have anything else to deal with, the other thing I always have on the agenda is a potential executive session, but I'm not aware that we have any topics that need to be discussed in the context of executive session. Unless you have something, Will, that
I do not.
we always put it in the agenda just in case, but it's been 2 or 3 years, I think, since we actually had a topic that we felt needed an executive session. So with that,
I had one other thing, David, just before we
Yes.
go. I know that I think next month is the end of my term. How does that go after that? Do we have to get like reconfirmed or?
yeah, you should have received a letter from the town administrator's office asking you if you wanted to be reappointed.
Okay, all right,
And
I will look for that.
if you didn't receive that, let me just take a quick look here.
Would it have been in physical mail or email?
Physical mail. I
Physical
got
mail,
mine in
okay.
physical mail. Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah,
do
or-
seem to recall seeing something like that, so I'll have to look through and find it. And then I just have to bring that in or mail it back to the town.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would recommend bringing it into the TA office if you have time, because then it just
Yep.
gets added right to the stack and you're good to go.
Perfect. I
Yeah,
can do that.
I had someone else asking me today whether I'd received my letter because he was up for reappointment to another committee. He had not received his because it was mailed out to his former home address.
Okay.
But he reported back to me. He called Cindy and confirmed that he was supposed to have received a letter. And I think he said that the deadline was the end of this week.
Correct.
Okay. All
So
right. So I'll bring it down that way, make sure that it
and
is
and if
received.
for any reason you are unable to find it, contact Cindy in the TA's office. And
Okay. Thank you.
geez. Yeah, I see 3 of us are up for reappointment this year.
Mhm.
UMR, me, and Bob Hassinger.
Right.
So, but yeah, the select board does all those reappointments toward the end of June. And they always like to ask, well, do you want to be reappointed? And because if you don't respond, they're going to assume you don't want to be reappointed.
Right.
Yeah, like I say, if you can't locate the letter, contact Cindy, and she can produce the letter for you, or even go in there and go in the office. Maybe she can print one out for you. You can fill it out right then and there.
Perfect. Yeah, I think I have it. I just need to dig it up.
Yep. Yep. I made sure when I got mine in the mail, I made sure I kept it in a prominent place and then got it turned in. I think I turned it in last week, the beginning of the week. Otherwise, I have a tendency to forget things. Okay. Anything else from anybody? A motion to adjourn would be in order.
Seconded.
The chair
Motion to adjourn. Sorry.
And I second.
Excellent. Moved and seconded. Motion to adjourn is not debatable, so I'll just call for a roll call vote. Amar,
Aye.
Lucas,
Aye.
and Dave votes aye. Motion carried unanimous, so we are adjourned. Thank you. And tentatively, June 11th will be our next meeting. I'll just double check with everybody to make sure that works for them. Otherwise, we'll try for the 4th. If we do the 4th, will you be available or not?
I would not be available on the 4th.
Okay, so I mean, if we have to do it that way, obviously we can follow up with you right after the meeting, Will, but I'd prefer to be able to have you there.
Okay, very good. Well, I will plan on the
All
11th
right.
if I hear otherwise.
All right.
Great.
All right. Thank you,
Have a
gentlemen.
good night.
Thanks all.
Good night.
Good night.